Okay, good to welcome everyone. Welcome, and we are sponsored by AB Spry, who's listening in the car on the way back home from the country, and he sponsors it that we should have all his children should give him nachas for many years, and by Michal Avram, that we should all learn Shas with Gesund. And Michal Avram, it's good to see you broadcasting, listening from your home. And we are broadcasting, Baruch Hashem, tonight, very special. We're broadcasting from the home of my Bechar, Nehemiah in Inwood, as Nehemiah made a very big simcha this weekend with the conclusion of Masechtas Sukkah, an avoid of love that he did with his Chabura. 2.5 years they learned in the Kinyan Masechta program, and we wish him a tremendous mazel tov, and him and his wonderful wife Rivki should have only bracha and gesund and everything wonderful.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. There was no time to get back home from. It's a 2.5 hour trip back to my house, so I'm broadcasting here, and then my wife and I will leave at midnight or whenever to go back home. As to an answer to your question, Aaron, Adam Arishan he had to give up years from his life. So he was supposed to live 1,000. So he gave David HaMelech 70 years, and he lived to only 930. If he would have given 100, then he would have lived only till 900. So although Aaron is ready to give away Adam Arishan's life, but Adam Arishan only gave away 70 years. That's why he lived 70. We welcome in Shimon Klein and Ben Sion Cohn, Aaron Swade, Saba. We welcome in Berish Gesseman and Dr. Guy, Mo Kushner, Dr. Block, Irving Fishbaum, Stephen Holtzman, Michal Nachman Chapler, Shimon and the wonderful baby, Menachem Umansky, Mark Frankel, Bruce Eisenberg, Michal Chavin, Mel Zachter, Eddie Chazan, Menachem Umansky, Yitzi Fuchs, Moshe Lehman, Rabbi Kranz, Chaim Braun, Moti, Ilya Shutman, Shelley Zeitlin, Naftali Javelin, and David Helfgott on Kol HaLashon. Thank you for joining us. We have two big block tonight with the help of Hashem. This is I'm broadcasting down here in my daughter-in-law's office, and not from maybe nicer places, because she has a phone down here, and a lot of people don't have a house phone. She has an office phone. I want to put it on because I already got calls that today's daf kuf, Friday's daf, is not on Kol HaLashon. So I wanted to make sure that we have a clear phone to put it on Kol HaLashon. Okay, right away, daf kuf. You're a special guy if you're already learning daf kuf. Now I see Mark has come ready for business. So Amachlif Pora B'Chamor, I barter my donkey for Mark's cow. Now the way barter works is that as soon as I take hold, as soon as Mark takes hold of the donkey, I get the cow, even if it's still in Mark's premises. And the cow gave birth. And of course, now the question is, did the cow give birth before I acquired it through barter, and then the child will be Mark's, or did it give birth afterwards, once he took hold of the chamar, and then the child is mine? V'chein hamoicher shivchasai, and the same thing is true if Mark sold me his maidservant. Now there, I gave him cash. The maidservant gave birth. We don't know if he gave birth before he received the cash, and then it's Mark's baby, or it's mine. Likewise, if he sells me a maidservant, and of course Mark says, the cow gave birth, or the maidservant gave birth before I sold it to you. And I say, no, it's after I bought it, and it's mine. So the din is yachloiku. We divide it. We split it 50-50. If Mark had two servants, echad gadol ve'echad katan, a big one and a small one, and likewise, he had two fields, one a big parcel, one a small parcel. I of course say, gadol you sold me the big slave, you sold me the big field. And Mark says, I don't know. You ever hear Mark say, I don't know. So then, since it's Bari V'Shema, Bari Adif, so Zacha Begadol, I get the bigger one, I get the bigger field, the bigger slave. But if Mark says, Cotton Macharti, I sold the small one, and I say, Ein Yodea, so then it's the other way around. Mark is the Bari, I'm the Shema, Ein Lo Cotton, I only get the small one. Now, what about Ze'aymer Gadol v'Ze'aymer Cotton? What if I say it was the big one and Mark says, no, I know it was the small one? So here, since we have a rule that Nishboyin ve'enon noitlin, you swear and you don't get it, so Yeshava Mocher Shakatan Mocher, Marx swears that he only sold me the small parcel or the small avid, and that's all he has to give me. Now, what about in the case where both of us says we don't know? Mark says I don't know. I say I don't know. Bunch of I don't knowers. Yachloiku. We split it. We divide it. Mark's happy with that. Easy come, easy go. Now, ask the Gemara right away. In the case where I bartered my donkey for Mark's cow, or I paid money for his maidservant. So we said we split it. Why do we split it? Why don't we let it be resolved by where the baby is at the time that it was born, where the calf is at the time that it's born? Because we should go basa chazaka. Says let's see whose rishus it's by. It's probably by Mark's. That's where it gave birth. I'm trying to take it from him. The din is says the Gemara. It must be talking about where it gave birth in the no man's land. It's talking about where the animal, the cow, was in the marsh, which is nobody's property. Shivchanami, the kaima besimta, she gave birth in a side street that doesn't belong to either of us. Says the Gemara, but there's also something called cheskas morakama. Who is the last known owner? The last known owner of the shivcha was Mark. The last known owner of the cow is Mark. V'nukma cheskas de morakama. Let us say that the status quo is that it was Mark's, and therefore I should be, I'm trying to take it away from him. I should have to bring the proof. Mark likes that. I'm saying he's really behind that beard. He's grinning from ear to ear. Says the Gemara, well, you're right. According to the Rabbanan, we would say but Hamani Sumchasi. It's going according to Sumchas, the Amar Mama Namutal B'Safik Chalkin, money that's in a doubt is divided. Oh, says the Gemara, wait a second, hold everything. This is not a case of Shema V'Shema. This is a case of Bari or Bari. I'm saying no, it gave birth after I already did the barter, after I already gave the cash. And Mark says, no, it was before. So, says the Gemara, Hamani Sumchasi da Mama Namusbitzav Chalkabal Shavu. So the Gemara asks, Ema Damas Sumchas B'Shema V'Shema. we were both saying maybe. But bari ubari, but we both say definite. Mi Amar, does he still say Yachloiku b'lo shvua? Amar Rabba bar Avuna in, yes. Amar Sumchas afilu b'bari ubari. Sumchas says it even where we're both definite. Rava says no. Who says the case in our Mishnah is where both of us are saying we're sure? No, we both say we're just making a claim. I say, well, maybe the Shifra gave birth after I paid you the cash. And he says, maybe it was before. So Rava Amar Lo'ilam Ki Amar Sumcha Shema V'Shema. I will bury you, bury Loi. Not like Rabba bar Avuna. You're right. If it would be definite, we wouldn't say Yachloiku. But our Mishnah, V'Tani, and say that our Mishnah is talking about Shema V'Shema. V'Tani, Zeh Omer Shema. Mark says, Shema Achaloi Machati. Maybe she gave birth, or the cow gave birth before I sold it to you. And I say, Shema Mishikalakachti. And maybe it's afterwards. So there we say Yachloiku, because Simcha says the din of Yachloiku by Shema Shema. So Gemara says, well, let's peruse the later part of the Mishnah. Tanan, which that's the case of Shema V'Shema. Mark says, I don't know, and I say, I don't know, Yachloiku. So Bishleim L'Rava, so it's good according to Rava, with the Sefer Shema V'Shema, Reisha Nami Shema V'Shema, that the Sefer is just reiterating what it says in the Reisha, that we're both not sure, we say Yachloiku. El Rabba bar Avuna da Amar in. It's true that Sumchas said afilu bari ubari, even when we're both sure. So if we say Yachloiku, even if we're both sure, then surely we say Yachloiku when we're not sure. So why does it have to say that in the Sefer? Hashta bari ubari Yachloiku. If the Reish is talking about where we both said that we're sure, and we say we divided Shema V'Shema, my boy, if we're not sure, do we need to say it? Says the Gemara, that's not such a kasha. You know why it says two times? It says in the Sefer Shema V'Shema to prove that the Reisha is Bari Ubari. Because if it wouldn't say the Sefer Shema Shema, I would say that the Reisha is only Shema and Shema. It's no raya. Tana Sefer L'Gluye Reisha. It says the end of the Mishnah to reveal what the beginning of the Mishnah is talking about. You shouldn't say that the Reisha is only Shema V'Shema, where we both said we're not sure. I will bury you, bury. But if we're both sure, we don't say Yachloiku. So therefore, Tana Sefer Shema V'Shema. It says the Sefer Shema V'Shema. That proves that the Reisha is talking about Bari Ubari. Mechlal the Reisha Bari Ubari. And like Rabba bar Avuna says, according to Simchas, V'afilu achi Yachloiku. Even so, we divide it. Just getting started on a beautiful Masjid Shabbos here in Inwood. Mel, regards from your son. I saw him twice this Shabbos. And he's looking good. As we have 32 Zoomers already here with us this evening, which is very nice. I'm expecting Marshall soon. You know, Chicago has to wait till Shabbos is over. Tanan. Ze'omer Gadol. V'zaymer cotton. We learned in the Mishnah, if I said it was the big one, and Mark, of course, says it's the small one, you know, Yeshava HaMoicher, so we said in the case where I said it was the big one, and Mark says it's the small one, so Yeshava HaMoicher Shekot Macher. So the Marx swears that he sold the small one. So the Gemara says, Bishleim Rava, it's good according to Rava the Amar, Ki Amar Sumcha Shema V'Shema. Where does he say Yachloiku by Shema V'Shema? Avol Bari Ubari Loi Amar, he doesn't say it where it's definite. So in this case, where we're both saying a definite, Mark swears and he's potter. Mishamachi Yeshav. El Rabba bar Avuna Damar in Amar Sumcha Safilu Bari Ubari, that he says that even we're both definite, then why do we say that Mark swears and he only gives me the small one? us. Now the Gemara tells us we're going to talk about this more later on, but here it's talking about a case where there's going to have to be a shvur d'oraisa, because Mark is moida b'mixas, and therefore since he's going to have to swear moida slumchas heichadika shvur d'oraisa, where he has to swear k'deba'inon l'meima l'kaman, we'll set up a scenario that Mark is a moida b'mixas, and that's why he has to swear. Now, says the Gemara weiter, if there were two servants, echad gadol the echad katan. So he said that I say that I bought the large one, and he says that he sold me the small one. So he said that Mark swears that he sold me the small one, and that's enough. Now the question over here is, why are we making Mark swear? The only time we make Mark swear is if he admits to part of the claim that I made. Here, Mark is not admitting to part of the claim. I claimed a big one, and he says, I don't owe you anything from a big one. I sold you a small one. Now that's tanu chitin v'haydolay b'sarim, where I claim wheat and he admits to barley, something entirely different. He doesn't have to swear. So the Gemara says, Amay Yeshava, why should Mark have to swear? Masha tanu loy haydolay, what I claimed he didn't admit to, or Masha haydolay, and what he admitted to loy to anay. That's not a case of moida b'mixas. Why should he have to swear? V'ayd, and furthermore, what's a case of moida b'mixas? A case of moida b'mixas is where he admits to part of it. But here, there's no admission. He's giving me the small slave. So this is not a case of denying part and admitting part. Here he gives it. He says, "Hey, look, take it. Take the small slave. Take the small one." That's not a case of a moida b'mixas. That's giving me already what I'm claiming. In such a case, he doesn't have to swear. And furthermore, even more than that, an eved is hukish l'karkais. Eved is juxtaposed to karka, and we don't swear on karka. We don't swear on slaves. So Rav switches around the whole scenario over here. Rav says it's talking about b'toyanoi demei, where I say to Mark, I gave you money for a big slave. I gave you money to purchase for me a big slave. And Mark said, you only gave me money to purchase a small slave. So there, it's moida natana. I say I gave him $1,000 to get a big slave, and he says, you only gave me $500 to buy a small slave. So it is a moida b'mixas. Demei sadik daila, I gave you money to purchase a big field. Demei sadik katana. Shmuel, he doesn't like adding the word demei. So Shmuel wants to say the argument is about the clothing. I claim clothing of a big slave, and ksus eved katan, he admits to clothing of a small slave. Imrei sadik daila, the sheaves of a big field, and he admits to Imrei sadik tana, sheaves of a small field. So first of all, it's mimin hatana, because it's sheaves and sheaves, it's clothing and clothing, and this swearing because it's not about a slave, it's about metaltalin. But the Gemara says clothing, there's a big suit and a small suit. That's two different things. Ksus mashetanu loy haydolay. What I'm claiming he doesn't admit to. I'm claiming an adult size suit, and he admits to a children's blazer and slacks. Umasha haydolay, and what he admits to loitanu. It's completely different. Says, well, you're thinking about sophisticated suit stores. In those days, they didn't have sophisticated suit stores. They had clothing which is patchwork, and if the person is big, so it has 6 patches, and if the person is small, it has 4 patches. So it's one thing. It's talking about clothing that's patched together. Hachanami b'diyalfe, it's clothing that's patched together. So it's moida b'mixes. He says, I say it was 6 patches, and he says it's 4 patches. So Rabbi Shia says it's nice, except that it doesn't say in the Mishnah ksus of an eved. Kasha later Rabbi Shia mide ksus katani. It doesn't say clothing. Eved katani. Ella Amar Rabbi Shia. You know what? I capitulate. Kigain shetanoi avdoi biksusai bisada ba'amreha, where I'm claiming an eved with its clothing and a field with its piles, and eina chanami. On the eved part and the field part, you wouldn't swear, because ein nishban ala kakais, ein nishban ala eved. You only have to swear because of the clothing and the piles. Once you swear about the clothing and the piles, so then I could make Mark swear also about the field and the eved using Gilgul Shvua. That once he has to swear, I can make him swear about all the details. But the Gemara says, but if it's clothing, like we said, a big clothing is not the same as small clothing. It's like wheat and barley. What I claim he didn't. What I claim he didn't admit to, and what he admitted to, loitanu. So again, the Gemara says, Amar Papa b'diyalfe. It's talking about patchwork. So I'm claiming 6 patches for a bigger eved. He's claiming 4 patches for a smaller eved. But then Rav Shesha says, so what's the whole kiddush over here? That because he has to swear about the clothing, he also has to swear about the karka. It's coming to teach us the din of Gilgul? Tanina, that's old hat. That we already know. Mark says I don't have to stay on Matzah Shabbos. I could have gone out for ice cream with my wife. Tanina, we learned once you have to swear for the metaltalin, as a nechasim sheyesh aleim achrayis, you also have to swear about the karka and eved l'shava aleim, to swear about them. So now the Gemara switches the whole story. The Gemara wants to say it's taka about the eved, and it's going according to Reb Meir that we swear on avodim that avda is kemetal dami. It's not like karka. Elamar says the Gemara nu pshat. Elamar Rav Sheshes Hamani Reb Meir he dama avda kemetal dami. That eved is like metal, and therefore we swear on it. Says Gemara, but vakati mashetanu loyhaydolay mashaydolay loytanu. If I'm claiming a big eved, and he's claiming a small eved, that's like wheat and barley. That's not made of mixes. Why does he have to swear? Says Gemara, he holds like Reb Gamliel that you swear in such a case. Savalak Reb Gamliel that not tanu chitin v'aydesarim. If I claim wheat and he admits to barley, potter. Reb Gamliel mechayim. But akati helechu, he's saying here's the Mark is saying here's the small one. So why does he have to then swear? Amarava avda dekata liyadei. It's talking about where the eved's hand, when it was by Mark, got amputated. V'sada shechafa b'bayr shichin amoris, and it's fields that have pits and trenches and caves dug in it. So therefore it's not whole. So he's not giving it to me already. So it's not halach. And since it's not halach, so that's why he has to swear. But says the Gemara, wait a second. Reb Meir doesn't hold that an eved is like metaltalin. We learned Rameir not that way. The Tanan, Gozel Behema. Where's Eddie when we need him? Is Eddie still here? Should be. Oh, there he is. I know. Yeah, I know you. You like to be incognito. I understand it. I real. Eddie. We all know. You know. Is your name still Eddie? Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes by a alias.
Eduardo.
That's what I figured. Hi, Eduardo. I actually looked him up on the phone book, and I saw his name was Miguel. But okay, but anyway, Eddie, Eduardo, whatever his name is. So if there he goes again. He's switching them every 3 minutes. Can't keep up with it. I have to. 1 second. Let me get a pen. Oh, I'm Shabbosdik. I have to write down all these names. You did Eduardo. Anyway, Ditnan Gozel Behema. Eddie stole an animal from Mel, Vizgina, and it got old. Avodim Vizginu, servants, and they got old. So the Rabbanan say, as soon as he stole it, he acquired it, and he has to pay Kishas Agzela. Mishalim Kishas Agzela. He has to give Mel back a young animal and a young slave. Rameir says no. Rameir holds an Eved is like Karka, and Karka ain't an Exelis, so it was always in the Rishus of Mel. So Rameir So you see the Rameir holds Avodim is like Karka, not like Avodim is like Metaltalon. Says, no, we'll switch the name. So like Kasha, Kidemakhlif, Rabba Ba'avu Vitani, like Rabba Ba'avu switched it and taught, Rameir Aimer Misham Kishas Exela, even by the Eved, because Eved is like Metaltalin, because they hold Eved is like a Karka. But here we have a problem. This would answer the Eved. But what about the case of where they were arguing about a big field or a small field? Are you going to say that by Karka you could also swear? That we do a reverse Hekesh. And we compare Karka to Eved. Ma Eved Nishban, just like on an Eved you swear, Af Karka Nishban. So on Karka we also swear, Dilma a Eved Udin Nishban. Maybe Rameir holds you only swear about an Eved, Avala Karka loy, but not on Karka. Says, don't think that way. Tanya Hamachlif Para B'chamar. If you barter a cow with a donkey v'yolda, v'chein amoicha shivchas v'yolda. Also, where Mark sells to me a shivcha that gives birth, Mark says it was in my property. V'zeh shoisik, and I'm silent. Zocha. If we both say we don't know, this one says it was happened by me, Bari, so then Mark swears that it happened in his Rishus, because that's the rule. That's the rule. Lefisha kol nishban, all those that swear and don't pay. Lefisha kol nishban shabbatayr nishban v'loy misham. Divrei Meir. The Chachamim say ein nishban loy al avodim v'loy al karkos. You don't swear not about Eved and not about Karka. Now, from the fact that the Chachamim say that implies your Rameir holds you do swear on Avedim and you do swear on a Karka. Lav Mechlad Rameir Sav Nishban. Says, no, maybe not. We might. Dilma Kishem Kamerle. The Rabbanan are arguing to a mayor. How can you say you don't swear on Avodim? Ki heichi da'idislam b'karkos. Just like you admit that you don't swear on Karka, oidol lanami ba'avodim. And it has to be that everybody agrees that you don't swear on karka. Teda, you should know that nan Rameir says yesh dvarim shein kekarka. There are things that are like karka because they're attached to the ground, but ve'enon kekarka. But you could swear about them because they're not karka. This is talking about vines whose grapes are ready to be harvested. So even though they're attached to the ground, we say kala oimid libatzer kibitsurindami. Whatever is ready to be harvested, it's as if it was ready if harvested, and therefore you swear about it because it's not attached to the ground. But you see, but if it is attached to the ground, even a Rameir would hold you don't swear. The Chacham don't agree. They hold that as long as the grapes are attached to the ground, you don't swear on them. Ketzad, what's this machlokes? Yud gafanim tu'unas masartilach. I tell Aaron Swade, I gave you 10 vines full of grapes. Va'ala oimer, and Aaron says, Einon ela chamish. It's only 5. So he was made of a mixus. So Rameir says he has to swear. Why? Because the grapes, even though they're attached to the ground, but since they're ready to be harvested, it's as if it's detached. No, he doesn't swear because and as I just explained the case, the Gemara says it in more detail. It's talking about grapes that are ready to be harvested. The Rameir holds that since it's ready to be harvested, it's as if it's already detached, and therefore there's a shmur. But if it would be karka, regular karka, everybody holds you don't swear, even Rameir. So the Gemara says, scratch that pshat, back to the drawing board. And the Gemara goes back to the pshat that the chiddush over here is where it's an eved with its clothing, a field with the grain. And Yitaka have to swear because of the clothing and the grain. And it's telling you, Gilgal Shvua, that once Mark has to swear about the clothing and the grain, he also has to swear about the Evan and the field. We had a kasha, but we all know Zaykikin, we all know Gilgal. So the Gemara is going to answer that. Eloilam kidrab Aisha. Or the kasha law Zaykikin. We said that there's no chiddush of Gilgal Shvua. We already know Zaykikin on the chasim she'ein lahem achrayis as on the chasim she'esh lahem achrayis lishava. Says the chiddush is, I might think, clothing on the Evid and grain in the field is considered, the clothing is bottled to the Evid, and the grain is bottled to the field, and therefore there's no shvua. Says Sol Kedaita Chamrina Ksus Eved Ke'eved Dami, and Imrei Sada Kesada Dami. The clothing of the Eved is like the Eved, the sheaves are like the field, and therefore there's no shvua. Kamash Malon that there is. From the final Gemara, Zeh Aimer Eini Yedea v'Zeh Aimer Eini Yedea. If I say I don't know, and Mark says I don't know, Yachloiku. Says Gemara Hamani, who is this going like? Sumchasi. Damar Mamanamut b'Safek Kolkin. If there's a doubt, we split it. Says the Gemara, but wait a second. Ema Seifa, Zeh Aimer B'Rishusi v'Zeh Aimer B'Rishusi. That if Mark says, no, it gave birth in my rishus, and I say it gave birth after you sold it to me, Yeshava HaMeicher, Mark swears, Shebeshusa Yolda, that it was born in his property, and therefore he gets to keep the child. But wait a second. This is a case of bari or bari. If we hold like Rabbi Bar Avhuna, that we say Yachloiku even by bari or bari, then why does Mark have to swear? Or Rabbi Bar Avhuna, the Amar in Amar Simchas Afilu Bari or Bari, then Amai Yeshava Meicher. Why does Mark have to swear? Yachloiku mi bay. So here the Gemara says, as I told you, remember we said it's talking about where there's a shvur deraisa kedabaina l'meima l'kamon. Here it's talking about where a hand of the Evid got cut off. So therefore, he's not ready to give me the whole thing. So it's a case where he's Maida b'mixas, and therefore he has to make a shvur deraisa. Maida simchas heichad ika shvur deraisa, as the Gemara says, the katale, and the hand was cut off, kidarava. So as Rashi says, the hand of the shifka was cut off, so it's not hilachu because he doesn't have the whole slave to give me. So therefore, he's only being made b'mikzas. He's admitting to part, and once he's admitting to part, he has to pay me. He has to swear before he gives me the small one. Now, we're just going to pause a moment to turn over the channel over here.